Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Feeding San Diego for today's Unite Stakeholder call. We're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who've attended this series in the past, please feel free to use the Q&A feature if you're logged in through Zoom at the bottom of your screen to submit questions throughout the call. A number of my colleagues will be answering questions as we move through today's call, and we will also have time at the end to answer some of those questions live. Today, I'm very excited that our Director of Marketing and Communications, Dana Williams, will be talking to everyone about what we have in the works for Hunger Action Month. And second on the agenda, we welcome Bettina Hausman, the President and Chair of the Board of Directors for the United Nations Association of San Diego, who will be speaking to us today. I will cover some details on our most recent community impact, and then I will transition over to Alicia Saki, our Chief Operating Officer, who will be sharing more, including a client story. And then we will be moving on to another partner spotlight. We are proudly welcoming Carla Camacho, the Manager of Business Development for Ocean Discovery Institute, one of our incredible partners. And then following her remarks, we will move into the Q&A feature. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Dana Williams, our Director of Marketing and Communications.
Feeding San Diego is so grateful for the outpouring of support from the community during the COVID-19 crisis. Our work is made possible by people like you. This month is Hunger Action Month throughout the month of September, and we invite you to get involved with us. So Hunger Action Month is an annual campaign that takes place throughout the country every year, where people volunteer, raise funds, and use their voice to advocate for policy change. This year is unlike any other. In a time of this great challenge presented by the coronavirus pandemic, Hunger Action Month takes on even greater significance. Every action counts now more than ever. We really want to extend a special thanks to our sponsors of the Hunger Action Month campaign, Go Macro, as well as Swinnerton Renewable Energy. We would also very much like to thank the United Nations Association of San Diego for endorsing the campaign locally, and you'll hear a little bit more about that shortly from our guest speaker, Bettina. Next, we invite the community to help us in raising awareness for the critical issue of hunger throughout San Diego County by joining us by going orange for Hunger Action Month on Instagram. The opportunity is for you to submit a picture with something that is orange, a real orange, orange clothing or accessories, and to post it onto social media, and to tag us at Feeding San Diego, and to hashtag Hunger Action Month, every action counts, and Hunger Free SD. And to feel good knowing that you are taking action. We also have a really exciting art challenge that I'm excited to share with you that we've launched in partnership with Pop Culture Hero Coalition. We are inviting superheroes ages 6 to 18 to draw an image of their vision of a hunger-free and healthy San Diego. We want to know what zero hunger looks like to them. All entries will be eligible to win cool prizing, including a signed skateboard by Ryan Sheckler, an American professional skateboarder, as well as a PlayStation 4 gaming console, and a video with Joe Gatto, and a $100 gift certificate from Geppetto Toys. The submission deadline is September 30th, so please go to our website off of feedingsandiego.org, and you can download the submission form and mail it in to us by September 30th. And all submissions will be eligible to win prizing. It'll be done through a draw. So with that said, I would like to introduce to you our guest speaker. Her name is Bettina Hausman, and She is the president and chair of the board of directors at the United Nations Association of San Diego. And she is actually joining us today on vacation. And so we're really honored that she's taken time out of her vacation schedule to share with us a few words. So Bettina, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Dana, and Laura Nana from the French Polynesia. You're probably wondering what is the connection between the UN Association in San Diego and Feeding San Diego. The association, so our association, is a US initiative that established itself after the World War II, and through visionaries such as Truman and Roosevelt, where in San Francisco in June 1945, the Charter of the United Nations was signed. And that was also the birth of the UN associations. We are fully volunteer, a civil society organization, non-partisan, and membership. So we bring really the importance of the work of this international community, the United Nations, to our local communities. And particularly in San Diego, as one of the oldest in the world, we were established in 1946. We're promoting engagement with the United Nations. We have now more than 150 chapters in the United States and over 100 representations in countries around the world. We specifically connect the international agreed upon concepts when we're talking about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, trade agreements worldwide, and initiatives. We're connecting these with local governance. So how that it works is truly we're functioning as the local ambassadors to and for the United Nations by translating these global matters into local context to showcase its local impact and applications. So that's just about our chapter and what do we do in San Diego. So the question is really, what are these global concepts currently that we are focusing on? And that is over the past 7 years, we're working on the implementation and raising awareness really on the Sustainable Development Goals, also called the Agenda 2030. And these Sustainable Development Goals were born out of what is arguably the most inclusive process in the history of the United Nations. They reflect substantial input from all sectors of society. That means really civil society and private sector, plus the usual attendees such as heads of states and heads of countries around the world. In 2012, I was lucky and fortunate enough to be in Rio de Janeiro at this very historic moment where we are all collectively as the world agreed upon these Sustainable Development Goals that really include all countries around the world as one understanding of we are one humanity and we have therefore a shared responsibility. It's a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all, and an ambitious agenda to leave no one behind, accomplished by 2030. Hence the name Agenda 2030. It is a set of 17 goals, as I mentioned, 17 objectives. So an aspiration, a real commitment to address our challenges. Each goal, as you can see, 1 till 17, is broken down into a number of targets. And there are a total of 169 targets that really are an action, a specific, measurable, and time-bound outcome. Each target in itself is also measured through one or more indicators, 230 in total. And that really is accountability, meaning it's a metric to measure progress. So we have 17 goals, we have 160 targets, and 230 indicators. These 17 goals are also really organized or categorized in 5 overarching areas: people, planet, partnership, prosperity, and peace. And they are designed for global action in each country around the world. They are universally applicable in developing and developed countries, so meaning also in the United States. Governments are expected to translate them into national action plan, policies, initiatives, reflecting the different realities and capacities their countries possess. While primarily target governments, these sustainable development goals, could we move to the next? Perfect, thank you. This is another way of showcasing these sustainable development goals in a wheel to really show the interconnectedness. Mentioned that they primarily target governments. They're also designed to rally a wide range of stakeholders to shape priorities and aspirations for sustainable development efforts around a common framework. So that's where Feeding San Diego comes in as well, and cities around the world that adopt them. For instance, New York, Los Angeles, and just recently, we were able to work with the city of San Diego to implement their annual CAP report, which is a climate action plan report from 2019. This year, they incorporated for the first time the sustainable development goals to really measure against these efforts. And Feeding San Diego in itself is truly our champion in terms of localizing these ambitious goals. In addition to the city of San Diego, Feeding San Diego was truly our first partner in this effort to showcase how local actions fit into this global agenda. And with that, particularly with Zero Hunger, which is the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, you can see end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, how it fits into what Feeding San Diego does, as well as the SDGs number 12, thank you very much, responsible consumption and production, that particularly promotes sustainable business practices and consumer behavior. We addressed with Feeding San Diego in its work climate action, the SDGs 13, such as with the climate controller badge that Feeding San Diego has in partnership with San Diego Girl Scout and other local partners implemented to really raise awareness on food rescue that is no longer going into landfill, hence really not contributing to our climate warming. We have SDGs 17, which is partnerships. That really is what Feeding San Diego does with the different grocery stores, with the different partners that they are collaborating in their efforts of really eradicating hunger. And these strengthen together domestic resource mobilization that is really so crucial in the success of achieving our 2030 agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals. So in our capacity as the ambassador to and from the United Nations in our local communities, we were really excited in partnering with Feeding San Diego, particularly to raise the awareness of its climate controller badge, as mentioned earlier, as one of the examples, with the United Nations, with the international community. And we were glad to have our colleague and a good friend of the chapter, Satya Tripathi. He's the UN Assistant Secretary General for the Environmental Program in New York City, record a thank you message and an endorsement of this climate controller badge to Feeding San Diego, to our community, a shout out. And I'm sure that Dana had hopefully shared this with you within an e-blast, this thank you message. If not, it's on YouTube. We're really particularly excited about making that connection. Furthermore, we, with these combating hunger, malnutrition, it's really a moral duty or a policy choice. In many countries, and here, of course, it is legally binding by the human rights obligation. We were excited in partnering with Feeding San Diego for this this September initiative, and particularly as we brought in Ford Roosevelt, who's the grandson of Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the biggest champion of our chapters, and now with Ford Roosevelt continuing this legacy in champion our chapter in San Diego. He endorsed the campaign for particularly based on the understanding on his grandmother's efforts in bringing about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as the right to food is recognized within this document, and a right to an adequate standard of living as it enshrined in 1966 International Covenants on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So it really is something that we felt strongly we want to bring Fort Roosevelt in to get the endorsement for the September campaign of Hunger Action Month that is so important, crucially important for the next slide, please, for not only San Diego, but really connecting what is done in the United States, how it connects back with the bigger picture on eradicating hunger. It's not out there in the world, it's also here in our own homes, in our yards. So we truly recommend commend Feeding San Diego on its effort to help end hunger. And we're proud partners, and particularly in heightening the visibility of its contribution to reaching the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, as mentioned, these 4 aspects that are really touched by their work. This year, we joined Feeding San Diego for its Hunger Month in mobilizing the community to end hunger, and we hope that we will do so in the coming years, and really delivering on the universal promise on the Sustainable Development Goals to leave no one behind, and achieving a true prosperous and sustainable world for 2030. In addition to Fort Roosevelt and the UN Secretary General of the United Nations Environmental Program, Tripartite, we also have asked UN 75 department at the UN. This year, we're celebrating 75 years of the United Nations and the international community there is. And we have partnered with UN 75 to bring about a message of visibility and acknowledgement and encouragement, really, for continuing efforts by Feeding San Diego through its not only the month of September, but truly its work in itself. And it coincides really with the United Nations commemoration of the Global Week that starts, Global Goals Week, that starts September 18th through the 26th. And that's also a week of action and awareness on accountability on the Sustainable Development Goals. And again, really making that connection. These are global goals, but we do need to start in our local communities, and it applies to us. And Feeding San Diego is truly the one representing and champion and being exemplary for these initiatives from the local to the global, how we really need to raise our compassion, but also how we need to understand our world by being really interconnected, as we have agreed upon in 2015 by implementing the Sustainable Development Goals in each country of the world. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you feel proud of being part of Feeding San Diego's effort, as it's truly one of a kind, and we couldn't do it without them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bettina. We really appreciate you joining us today and sharing more about our incredible partnership. You've summarized everything so well. And, as you know, at Feeding San Diego, we truly believe that we can end hunger through food rescue. And that alignment with their Sustainable Development Goals is just critical. So we're really excited about our partnership moving forward. I just wanted to touch on and share some of the recent highlights on our community impact. Feeding San Diego, our fiscal year runs from July through June. So we just closed fiscal year 20, and I am incredibly proud to announce that we served 31.2 million meals in our service area. That is a 19% increase compared to the prior year. So we served more than 26.3 million meals in the prior year. We continue to be deeply saddened, of course, that hunger is so prevalent in our community, but we're deeply grateful to our countless supporters that are enabling us to do this important work right now. In fact, last year, more than 19,300 donors made financial contributions to support our work, and countless volunteers have supported us throughout the year to help us pack produce, get food out into the community, and they've donated more than 35,700 hours, which is the equivalent of a significant number of full-time employees. We really could not fulfill our mission without those volunteers. And as we've talked a little bit about in this call, our deep focus on food rescue, when you're looking back at this last year, we diverted more than 27.6 million pounds, of food from the landfill. So this is perfectly edible food that is healthy and nutritious, and we capture it before it goes to the landfill and quickly redirect it to people in need. And by doing so, we have saved nearly 25,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent from being emitted into the atmosphere. And for some context on what that actually is doing, that translates through those food diversion efforts. It's the equivalent of taking more than 5,300 vehicles off the road for an entire year. So it's a significant accomplishment on our part. And when you're looking at in totality, the number of meals across that entire year, 92% of the food that we distributed was rescued, and 49% of that food was fresh produce. So in addition to our focus on food rescue, we believe that providing that really healthy food to people in need is absolutely essential. So we're not just imagining and envisioning a hunger-free San Diego, but also a healthy San Diego. So that is a critical part of our mission. And again, all powered by our incredible volunteers, donors, and partners. As a reminder, again, to everyone, we continue to operate our Countywide Food Rescue and Distribution Network. And we provide meals to the community through collaborations with over 320 community partners throughout San Diego County, including the Ocean Discovery Institute, who you're going to be hearing from in a moment. And throughout the COVID-19 crisis, the strength of these partnerships has really allowed us to distribute more food to those in need. And many of those people are accessing our services for the very first time. They've never had to just seek charitable food assistance in the past. So we continue throughout this crisis and beyond to prioritize ongoing regular distributions in local communities throughout San Diego County. So rather than kind of some larger scale distributions where individuals are encouraged to travel long distances across the region, we have, if you go to our website at feedingsandiego.org, click on the Get Help section, and you can use our Find Food map to locate distributions in local communities. So whenever there's changes, for instance, like we've had this amazing partnership with the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council, that we were holding a distribution at SDCCU Stadium in Mission Valley. That one is actually now being relocated to SDSU. Those changes are all made on our website in real time so that people in need can access food wherever it's convenient for them. So, and in addition to the resources that are available on our website, the community is welcome to call 211, and 211 can connect people with resources that are beyond what Feeding San Diego was offering as well. And with that, I will turn it over to Alicia Sacchi, our COO.
Awesome, thanks, Gavin. So to start, I'll share a little bit about our Valley Fire response. So disaster response is an important part of our work at Feeding San Diego and has been throughout our years here in San Diego County. Our regular work in East County via our mobile pantries has really set us up to quickly act when fires strike our rural areas. So in response to the Valley Fire, Feeding San Diego has doubled the amount of non-perishable product at our East County mobile pantry sites, including Alpine, Campo, Descanso, Jacamba, and Potrero this week. And we're going to continue to monitor the need in this area as recovery efforts from the fire move forward. Next. So one of the privileges of this work is the opportunity to meet the hardworking families we serve. Our team was recently at Altadena School Pantry, and they met Mary Elena, who is pictured here. She shared with us that she has not been able to work because of the coronavirus, and both her daughter and granddaughter have fallen ill with COVID-19, but are fortunately doing better now. And that it's been incredibly difficult for her large family of 8, which includes 6 children. She said that every little bit that we do get, it helps. Thank you, Feeding San Diego, for being such a great support to my family. I'd like to thank Mary Elena for sharing her story with us and helping remind us that behind the statistics that we hear about COVID-19 and about hunger, there are real people working really hard to make ends meet. I'd like to also pass along her thanks to you, our donors, volunteers, and community partners who make our work possible. So next, we'd like to highlight the work of one of our incredible partners. We're fortunate to have one of our summer meal program partners, Ocean Discovery Institute, here with us on the call today. And joining us today from Ocean Discovery Institute is Carla Camacho, the Manager of Business Development. Ocean Discovery Institute has partnered with Feeding San Diego since 2016, starting with the after school meals program and then expanding to provide meals over the summer. The summer program, SFSP, or Summer Food Service Program, is a really important federally reimbursed program which allows us to provide hot and cold meals to kids over the summer when they don't have critical access to school nutrition programs. Ocean Discovery Institute was one of our first after-school meal programs at the beginning of this program with Feeding San Diego, and Ocean Discovery Institute has grown with Feeding San Diego as we've expanded our meal programs, and we truly appreciate their partnership. So thank you so much, Carla, and welcome to the call.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you so much for having us here, and we're incredibly thankful to everyone at Feeding San Diego for the impactful partnership that we have with all of you. In the photo, you can see Ocean Discovery's Living Lab facility. We just opened this building in 2018, and through having a facility here in the community we serve in City Heights, we've been able to provide those meals that Alicia mentioned after school to our young students and also over the summer. My name is Carla Camacho, and I have been with Ocean Discovery on staff for about 10 years. I'm now really working in this community to make sure that our students have all of the resources that they need. But fun fact is that I actually joined Ocean Discovery Institute as a student myself, as a 14-year-old freshman at Hoover High School here in City Heights. And then I went and graduated from UC Santa Cruz. And following that, my first job has been with Ocean Discovery, and it's been such an incredible journey to see all of the incredible partners like Feeding San Diego that continue to enable and empower the work that we do. So our mission is all about transforming young lives through science. And we do this by providing hands-on science education to young people, mentoring, and those tools that our students need to overcome challenges. And one of those is just ensuring that they have basic resources like food, so that they could, have the resources that they need to be successful. And the reason why we exist is that we primarily serve, next slide please. We primarily serve young people in City Heights. It's one of the most urban, underserved communities here in San Diego, where close to 95% of our students rely on the federal free and reduced lunch meals. So even before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, our students are already those students that are greatly impacted by not having resources at home. So we're thankful for our partnership with Feeding San Diego that allows us to provide hot meals to young people after school from our Living Lab site. As I mentioned, we serve students here in City Heights, and we provide programs both during the school day where the local elementary and middle schools come to the Living Lab site, and then after school and on the weekends and over the summer, families can come to the Living Lab to also participate in hands-on science programming. When the pandemic hit in March, we had to close down our building, but we really thought about what are going to be the greatest needs that our families see in these next few months. And we knew that food service and having access to food would be one of those great challenges. And so we reached out to Feeding San Diego, and they worked really closely with us to ensure that we could still, you know, the local schools were providing breakfast and lunch, but we were providing hot dinners for families to pick up from the Living Lab site. And we've been doing that, you know, since March. The first day, I remember we had about 50 meals to distribute because we weren't sure how comfortable families would feel coming to the Living Lab site during that time. And now we're serving up to 450, upwards of 400 meals per day from the Living Lab site. And we could not do that without the incredible support of Feeding San Diego. I saw that incredible number of the millions of meals that you all have provided. We're just a fraction of that. So from our site, we've been able to distribute over 54,000 meals. And so I just wanted to share this quick story from one of our families that has been, you know, receiving these meals from the Living Lab. It came in a beautiful envelope, and you could tell that one of the children wrote it, and there was, you know, blue glitter all over the card. But they wrote, "Our family wants to thank everyone that has helped out during the quarantine, taking the time to put the food bags together, homework packets, setting up, passing out food, and cleaning up, and doing it every day is hard work. You and others who are helping to provide food every day to our community are heroes. Our family has not had a smooth road, but your food distribution has made it easier, and we have done our part to share the good by sharing some lunches with families around us that are struggling too. Thank you. God bless each of the people who helped make it possible for us to receive dinners." And I just wanted to thank, again, Feeding San Diego for making that possible and for your incredible partnership.
Thank you so much, Carla, for attending today and sharing more about our partnership. It's incredible what you guys are doing, and we are really grateful for it. Wanted to just remind everyone on the call today that we continue to keep our coronavirus response page up to date on our website. So all the information in terms of where to access and find food, how the community can get involved and make a gift, whether it's financial or through a donation of food, or to perhaps organize your own fundraiser with your family or friends. And also, as Dana Williams mentioned on our call today, to help spread the word during Hunger Action Month. So numerous ways for you to get involved. Please do visit our website at feedingsandiego.org/coronavirus. With that, we will transition over to the Q&A portion of the call. I believe some questions have been answered throughout the session, so I'll just give you, if anyone has any questions, feel free to use the Q&A chat feature at the bottom of the screen. I'm not seeing any additional questions pop up. So in the essence of time, I just want to thank you again so much for joining us today for the Unite Stakeholder series. Thank you again to Bettina Hausman from the UN, as well as Carla for sharing more about their incredible work and our partnership together. Please stay safe and healthy. And we would also like to remind you, we are constantly trying to refine and provide the most meaningful content to you. So feel free to let us know if you have feedback about this series, if you have some suggestions or things you'd like to know and hear from us on. We'd love to hear from you. So feel free to email us at info@feedingsandiego.org. We welcome your feedback. I see one question in the Q&A chat box. Sorry if I missed, the question is, sorry if I missed any quick updates on how many meals you served compared to last year this month. We don't have that total. We haven't yet closed the month on meals. We are continuing to provide an increased level of service to the community. So since mid-March, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, we've essentially doubled what we've been providing to the community through our distribution center. So getting all of our agency partners plenty of food to distribute to the community, and increasing the amount of food available at all of our distribution sites throughout the county. Alicia, I don't know if you have anything you want to add on to that. Alicia, if you were talking, you were muted.
Yep, sorry, I was muted. Nothing to add at this moment. No, we continue to distribute double the amount of food that we've distributed prior, and just the timing of this call this month, we haven't been able to close out the numbers for last month.
And I see another question coming in. This individual is looking for an update on sites for cold and hot meal handouts at schools for students. Alicia, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, so we continue to distribute distribute meals at all those sites. Those are listed on our Find Food map. So you can see all of those sites listed there. Fortunately, the federal government has extended the waiver for that SFSP program through to the end of this year, this calendar year. So we will continue to distribute those meals hopefully at the same rate, dependent on our partners' ability to do so and the changes to school calendars.
Great, I see another question about our military sites.
So the question is, what military sites or access do you service? So we have a number of partners who work with, who specifically serve military families, including Courage to Call. They have a rotating site. Our partners, Jewish Family Service, also do a number of different military specific distributions. And then all people, anyone, regardless of their need or any ways in which they identify as a military family or not, can access food at any of our distribution partners, again, that are listed on our Find Food map.
And the next question is, how long will the expanded amounts we are receiving, I'm assuming as an agency partner, how long we'll be receiving those will continuing? Alicia?
Yeah, we're hopeful to continue meeting the increased need for as long as possible. And that's really where we are looking to the community for support to continue distributing at higher amounts for as long as possible. There's information and data that is sharing that it could be up to 5 years before some organizations recover from the pandemic. And so we really need to be set for the long haul to support our community at a higher level for these next couple of years, I think. But we're going to do everything we can with the support of our generous stakeholders to distribute as much as needed for as long as possible.
Thank you, Alicia. There's another question here. What qualifications are needed to volunteer at a food distribution or packing center?
So it can vary by site based on the partner that's operating the site. So again, if you'd like to find a site near you, you can use our Find Food map to find a partner that is near you and contact them directly to see what their requirements are. But here at Feeding San Diego at our distribution center, normally in non-COVID times, volunteers 6 and older can come volunteer. Due to COVID and our additional security and safety precautions, we are only accepting volunteers who are 18 or older with a food safety food handler card that's active, that's been used. And we are doing interviews and looking for folks who can come in for longer periods of time. It's really important that we keep our staff and volunteers safe because they are doing very critical work. And so we're really trying to limit the number of people on site. And that's our current approach to volunteer engagement.
Thank you, Alicia. I don't see any other questions, but I want to thank you again for attending today's call and partnering with us to end hunger throughout San Diego County. Stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.